Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Today is July 29th, 2022, the last trading day of the month, and this is your Friday planning video. Wow, week of Fed meetings and press conferences. If I would have told you 10 years ago that you'd be using those words as often as we do, would you have believed me? I prefer to use words like goals and planning and confidence and phrases like sleep at night and able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it, not worry about the market action day to day to determine how you live. That's why we plan to try to achieve that. So let's talk about some new things, and we'll close out the multi-week series on education planning. Let's talk about an old friend. Okay, not so friendly, but the cyber criminal. I've spoken to you about this before, and I'm considering some possible education events and certainly some more information to share with you about this. Please let me know if you have any interest in real in-person events to address keeping your data safe. I want to remind you to take a look at your recent 401k or 403b statements. You may have just gotten one last month, the end of Q2, and I know you don't want to look at it. But please, first of all, with the markets bouncing back about 6 to 8% off the June bottom, there's a chance that your balances are up since printing of that statement. Second, and more importantly, check the statement to make sure that your contributions are going in and nothing is happening in the accounts that you don't know about. Just in the past month, I heard about a payroll scam that changes the direct deposit location of employees' paychecks. Now, this one's hard to miss, but only after the fact. This is more for the employers, but watch your bank account on payday if you do direct deposit. If you don't get your money, don't wait. Contact your employer ASAP. There have been instances where someone has been able to convince your employer or the payroll company to change what bank account to send your money to. This is not to scare you, it's just to keep everybody on their toes. I also read about the case of a major Fortune 500 company having some issues with one of their employees' $750,000 401k plan being stolen by a hacker. You will often see strange things in your account before something like this happens. They usually can test the waters first, and then they hit it hard if no one notices. Okay, enough about that. Please let me know if you have interest in attending an in-person event to learn more. If there's interest, I have some great resources to bring to you. We left off last week talking about the pros and cons of 529 college savings plans. Just look at the disclaimer on the email to know that there are cons to go along with the pros on this. But seriously, we need to review the other side of the coin. We've discussed, that 529s can be great. Let me quickly remind you, as the disclaimer adds, please remember I'm not offering individual tax advice. We need to work with your tax advisor to confirm how this will affect your tax plan. I don't want to be negative, but let's talk about what may not be great about 529 plans. As I teased you with last week, there are penalties if you take out the money for anything that is not a qualified education expense. There's a 10% penalty on the earnings portion of that account, although there are always some exceptions. This gets tricky, so be careful in this one. If you roll over your 529 plan to another state's plan for whatever reason, some states are recapturing the state tax deductions, and some of those earnings may be added to your state taxable income. This is not seen a lot, but be careful. Investment choices are always a big part of any investment program, and 529s are no different. One of the common criticisms of these plans are the limited investment options. While this is true, the options are getting better and better every year. 529 plan fees are often another con identified. There are plans with lower costs than others, but as always with fees, the whole picture is much more important. What are the after-fee returns? Past performance, though we know that it doesn't guarantee any future performance, it is something we're going to constantly look at. Finally, the ownership rules for 529s are important. The account owner can change the beneficiary at any time, and the owners are the ones with legal control of the money. This comes into play a lot, and I've seen it many, many times, especially with grandparents, and the potential disconnect between their wishes and those of the parent or the student. Pretty much the golden rule goes on this one. That concludes the 529 pros and cons. Let me wrap up this week with an idea that works on education savings, but also with all investment savings. Did you ever wonder why the 401k plan or 403b plan seem to do so well for you and people you know? According to a recent survey by Morning Consult, high net worth individuals hold over 55% of their net worth in their 401ks and IRAs. Why is that? I'll give you my thoughts on it. It is an unscientific reason. How are those accounts usually funded? At least for the 401k plans, they're usually funded by your salary deferral going into your account once or twice a month, like clockwork, and usually the same dollar amounts every time. Back in the 90s, there was a great story going around on the email. It was called The Jocks versus the Nerds. And no offense to anyone here, it was comparing the income and savings of Bill Gates and Michael Jordan. It's a good read, so feel free to Google it, but I'll point out one part. Quote, assuming Michael Jordan puts the federal maximum of 15% of his income into his 401k, he will cap out at the limit, it was $9,500 per year then, at 8:30 a.m. on January 1st, based on his income per minute. I'm not going to cry for him, but what I am suggesting is that you look at the idea of automatic contributions, maybe monthly or quarterly ones. You won't top out at 8:30 in the first day. There are many, many benefits, but if you look at the 401k example, one of the reasons it can do so well is that you are putting that deposit into the account like clockwork. Set it and forget it. This will keep you from trying to time the markets. It will also allow you to take advantage of dollar cost averaging, which overall is just what we're talking about. If you invest a fixed amount of money on a regular basis, overall with the same amount of money, you'll buy more shares when the prices are low and fewer when prices are high. That will overall give you a lower average cost per share. This math works. I'm happy to share a great visual explanation of this. Just email me and I'll share it with you. Finally, the last reason for automatic investments that you won't forget, and thus you'll probably get more of your hard-earned money working for you in the market. And if and when this market resumes a march upward, whenever that is, you'll have more invested to go along with it. So there you have it, a bit more in 529s and a planning idea we can sink our teeth into. Come back next week. If anyone has any ideas for new topics or any requests, please let me know. We'll also be back on Monday with the Monday Market Update, and once again, it will be worth the time to listen. Have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch soon.